23.
What do you think was so impressive about him?
His experience, he's so smart. He have everything in a fighter.
Mayweather met earlier this week to prepare for Crawford's big fight against Canelo Alvarez in September. The two boxing legends had private training sessions where Mayweather, known as the first fighter to beat Canelo, helped Crawford sharpen his skills to ensure he's ready for the challenge. Canelo, who fought Mayweather over 10 years ago, has now spoken out about it. The two faced off at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas back in September 2013, with Mayweather handing Canelo his first ever loss. Mayweather told Canelo, "If you want to be the best in the world, you have to beat me." Canelo was just 23 years old at the time, holding the WBC Super Welterweight title and an unbeaten record of 42 wins and 1 draw. Mayweather, on the other hand, was 36 and near the end of his career, but still held the WBA Super Welterweight title with a flawless 44-0 record. Many fans thought the younger, stronger Canelo might finally hand Mayweather his first loss, but things didn't go as they hoped. Canelo had a hard time keeping up with Mayweather during their fight, losing on points in the end. Even though Mayweather won, the scorecards were tighter than expected, with one judge calling it a 114-114 draw. Mayweather later said it wasn't his toughest fight, but admitted it was a tough challenge. After going 12 rounds with Mayweather, Canelo summed up his opponent's skills in 3 simple words during an interview with a Full Send podcast. "He has everything." He added that while Mayweather didn't hurt him in the fight, he didn't need to. "He's experienced, so smart, and a complete fighter," Canelo said. "He doesn't have knockout power, but with his style, he doesn't need it." Mayweather retired with a flawless 50-0 record, while Canelo now holds an impressive 62 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. His only other defeat came in May 2022 against Dimitri Bivol. While Canelo has always respected Mayweather's greatness, he isn't fully sold on Mayweather's partnership with Terence Crawford. At first, Canelo wasn't too keen on fighting Crawford, the 37-year-old from Omaha. But now, he's had a change of heart and is gearing up for the challenge. In an interview with a popular boxing platform, Canelo shared his thoughts, saying, "I respect Crawford, he's a great fighter, and I've always said that. No disrespect to him, but sometimes it's crazy to hear people call him a small fighter. People said the same thing about Charlo, and he's actually big. Now, everyone's asking if I'll face Crawford." Canelo gave his take on fighting Terence Crawford, saying, "Crawford is a 147-pound fighter and smaller than Charlo. It doesn't make sense, but people keep bringing it up. Honestly, I probably wouldn't get much credit if I fought him. But in boxing, you never know. I've moved up and down in weight and fought everyone, so why not? It's possible." He echoed similar thoughts from a previous interview, adding, "Crawford is a great fighter, don't get me wrong. But in my weight class, it's an easy fight for me. Easy money. If the money's right, I'm in. I'm not a fan of fighting guys like Crawford because they move a lot and the fights aren't as exciting. But I saw his last fight, and he doesn't move as much now. So yeah, if the money's right, I'll take it." When asked about the possible fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, former Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez made a fun comparison, saying, "If you play baseball and not boxing, would you be a great baseball player?" Chavez, along with other retired boxers, has questioned the matchup, mainly because of the big weight difference. Canelo fights at 168 pounds, while Crawford last fought at 154 pounds against Israel Madrimov. While the actual fight hasn't been confirmed, there's been a fun twist. Sheikh Turki Alek, the main promoter, invited both boxers to a challenge in the video game Fatal Fury, City of Wolves. A screenshot of a conversation between the two fighters was shared, where they joked about the fight. In 2025, Sheikh Turki Alek made a funny comment, saying, "I challenge them in the game. It's the only thing I can challenge them in." He added that they accepted the challenge in the game and would go for dinner afterward. "We decided not to do the boxing match because the 3 of us hate boxing and chose yoga instead," he joked. He also said, "Keep talking and spreading rumors, but in the end, only the 3 of us know and decide when and where things happen." But this message seems to clash with what Team Crawford is saying.
If Crawford wins con Canelo, no le gusta Crawford Canelo.
Pues
Crawford's team has now confirmed that the big fight with Canelo Alvarez is happening on September 13th. When asked if the fight was official, a member of Team Crawford replied, "It's on, baby." September 13th, get ready for Crawford versus Canelo. Crawford and Canelo are two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. Canelo fights at super middleweight, while Crawford is moving up from 154 pounds to face the Mexican star. Bernie Davis, a key member of Crawford's team, also confirmed the fight, saying, "We're climbing that mountain. It's on, baby." September 13th, Crawford versus Canelo. It's confirmed. Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford stands up. Pound for pound the best in the world soon to be.
The Nanchus.
Tell them we going for Canelo next.
Yes.
Crawford is focused on becoming the super middleweight champion of the world, and he's ready for the challenge. Pound for pound, I'm about to be the best in the world, he said. He believes it's only right for him to take on this fight on a huge stage. It's a David versus Goliath battle, and we deserve this chance. He knows the fight won't be easy. We've got disadvantages in weight and power, but in terms of skills and accomplishments, we're on the same level. Crawford has a lot of respect for Canelo's career. What he's done is incredible. Two-time undisputed champion in 3 weight classes, and he's been on the pound-for-pound list for over 10 years. What more can you ask for? Crawford said. He added that this fight with Canelo is the one they've been waiting for, especially since they didn't get to face other big names like Pacquiao or Mayweather. This is the fight we've got, and when we get in the ring, it's going to be electric. What makes a potential Canelo versus Crawford fight even more exciting is that both fighters are nearing the end of their legendary careers. Canelo, at 34, has been fighting for almost 20 years, with a record of 62 wins and 2 losses. Some of his fights, like his controversial battles with Gennady Golovkin, have taken a toll on him. Crawford, at 37, has fought 41 times and remains undefeated. That's what makes this fight so special. Two of the best in the world going head-to-head in what feels like a fight we've all been waiting for.
Let's go. Canelo, come on.
You heard it from him.
We are ready.
Sense for it's with wondering what mountains are left for each man to climb. It won't be like any other fight that he's fought recently. And be a well-fought fight for both. Both know what it's like to be an undisputed champion in an era when there are far too few undisputed champions to be found. Each fighter also knows what it's like to fight under the bright lights. Canelo's been in numerous legit super fights against Golovkin and Floyd Mayweather respectively, while Crawford finally appeared in his first super fight back in 2023 when he crushed fellow welterweight titleist Errol Spence in 9 rounds of one-sided combat. Should this fight be signed and made official, it's understandable that Canelo, at least early on, will be the considerable favorite. He's been fighting at super middleweight, after all, while Crawford has just recently made the jump in weight up to junior middleweight situation. What's more, he possesses extraordinary confidence. In other words, Crawford likely won't see this as an underdog story. He'll see it as a battle requiring seriousness, focus, and an effective game plan. Crawford ultimately is a practical-minded man, then again so is Canelo, and Canelo has the power to hurt. Turkey Alec, an avid boxing fan, promised that by 2025 he will bring several world-class fights with them. One of the most anticipated fights in boxing could be the long-awaited showdown between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, potentially set for September. You never know in boxing. I go up and down in weight and fight anyone, so it's possible. Why not? Crawford said. The two fighters were spotted away from Al-Shaq's radar during a meeting in London last week, where it looks like they started discussing the details of a fight that fans have been waiting for between two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. The fight is expected to take place over the weekend of Mexico's Independence Day celebrations in mid-September. ESPN's boxing expert, Mike Coppinger, reported that, from what he's been told, the deal is close to being finalized for a fight in Las Vegas. The planned weight limit is 168 pounds with no rehydration clause. When asked about Crawford calling out Canelo, one pundit wasn't a fan of the matchup. "I don't like that fight," they said. However, there's one key issue that still needs to be resolved. Crawford would have to jump up by an additional 14 pounds to match Canelo's weight for the fight. Canelo has been gradually moving up in weight over the years. He started at super welterweight, where he won the WBC title, before becoming the unified middleweight champion. He made a quick stop at light heavyweight, defeating Sergey Kovalev to claim the IBF belt. Then, he dropped back down to super middleweight, where he made history by becoming the first undisputed champion in the division. The weight difference between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford recently sparked a conversation between Chael Sonnen and Dan Rafael. For once, Crawford's move up in weight didn't seem like a bad idea. 2024 was a huge year for boxing, with record-breaking fights and big paydays. It was tough to say who had the best year, but Canelo Alvarez stood out once again, winning 2 fights in impressive fashion and becoming the first undisputed light heavyweight champion in modern boxing. However, boxing insiders Dan Rafael and Chael Sonnen both agreed that Alexander Usyk actually had the best year. Sonnen pointed out that Crawford often gets criticized for not fighting big names, but when he fought lesser-known opponents, he made them look average. During a discussion on the Ring Magazine's podcast, Sonnen also talked about a big issue in boxing: fighters avoiding tough matchups because of small weight differences. Rafael immediately named Usyk as Fighter of the Year, but Sonnen had some concerns. He noted that Usyk only fought one opponent twice in 2024, while other fighters were stepping up against different challengers. Despite his reservations, Sonnen ultimately agreed with Rafael. He also discussed how boxing's biggest problem is that some fighters won't take on tough challenges because they're worried about weight. He mentioned Canelo and Devin Haney as examples, saying that sometimes fighters refuse to face others over just a couple of pounds. He also pointed to Ryan Garcia, who beat Luke Campbell, as a reminder that sometimes fighters are too cautious, avoiding risks just to keep their undefeated records intact.
Man, what?
Say less.
Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford stand up, pound for pound, the best in the world, soon to be the super middleweight.
Still complaining about the weigh-ins, for those who may not know, Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia are in one of the most controversial rivalries, as the latter tested positive for PED post their fight last year. This is a possible 2-4, but for Crawford, because his pound-for-pound abilities and apparently no rehydration clause. One hearing that right, he wants full smoke at that way, even though Garcia is serving a ban and got the win expunged from his record. Haney filed a lawsuit against him in December. Garcia, too, filed a countersuit against Haney. However, it seems the two of them may now be working together on a rematch if all goes well, but their enmity still remains as explosive as last year. On the other hand, according to Sonnen, this inability of boxers to look past some pounds is also stopping the dream fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. You got Bud Crawford, or you got Canelo. These guys are sitting here and talking about why I shouldn't have to do things that are hard over 3 lbs contended. The UFC veteran, however, in Canelo Alvarez's case, he thinks that the weight difference will make this fight one-sided in his favor. Chael Sonnen believes Alexander Usyk deserves the title of Fighter of the Year because he's shown that weight doesn't always make a fighter. While other boxers worry about fighting opponents who are just a few pounds heavier, Usyk has been taking on much bigger opponents without hesitation. Since moving up to heavyweight in 2019, Usyk has fought fighters who outweigh him by a lot. He's never weighed more than 225 pounds, while his opponents are often over 240 pounds. Some of the biggest names Usyk has faced include Chaz Witherspoon, 242 pounds, Derek Chisora, 255.5 pounds, and Anthony Joshua, 240 pounds. Despite the weight disadvantage, Usyk hasn't backed down. His most impressive performance came in his rematch with Tyson Fury, who came in at a massive 281 pounds, while Usyk was just 226 pounds. That's a 55-pound difference, yet Usyk still won. Sonnen pointed out that this shows weight doesn't always matter as much as people think. He said, "I like that the bigger guy doesn't always win. We see it with heavyweights all the time, and Usyk's doing it too." He also mentioned how legends like Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali were often the smaller fighters, but they still beat bigger opponents. Now,
because he's making everybody look normal.
Not everyone, like when they go against Canelo, I don't think there's anyone else in boxing who you would ask and say.
Usyk is following in their footsteps, showing that skill and determination can beat size. That's why Sonnen said, "My fighter of the year is Usyk." He's proving that you don't have to be the biggest to be the best. Crawford's got a lot of heart, grit, and determination, and that's what's going to make this fight so exciting. He's been wanting it for a while now, calling it a legacy fight, the biggest one in boxing today. He feels like it's the ultimate showdown between two of the best pound-for-pound fighters. He knows Canelo is bigger, but he's not backing down. Crawford has nothing but respect for Canelo, and if they do end up in the ring, it's going to be electric. Canelo was asked about the live stream Crawford did during the fights, and he simply said, "No comment." Crawford thinks that just shows Canelo's interested in the fight. 2. He knows it won't be easy. Canelo's size and power will be a challenge, but Crawford's been up against bigger guys before. He's confident. "Of course, I'll beat him," Crawford says. "I know I can beat anyone I step into the ring with." That's all for now. For the latest updates on all things boxing, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out. See you next time.